The college basketball season is upon us, and we're going to look at 5 games today on the totals as we continue to do our total segment for both the NBA and college basketball. We're going to continue this throughout the year. It's going to be a really fun segment to do. Of course, first games of the year, a lot of things unknown, but according to the research I've got going on here, and looking at the lines at SBR, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to jump out there and make 5 plays here on those totals with a couple really good matchups. Still, it's college basketball. It's just like college sports. You just never know how things are going to end up. But this is what I got for today. So let's go ahead and let's start breaking these games down. We got 5 on the board. All right, lots of games out there, by the way. First one we're going to look at, of course, is the best game, or arguably the best game of the day, or one of the best games. We got Michigan State and Arizona. Totals at 141. I'm going to go under the total of this matchup. Now, Sean Miller, he plays that pack line defense, that kind of slough back zone. It can be really difficult, especially first games of the year. And Michigan State is a little bit young this year. They got Aaron Harris back. Of course, Tom Izzo, he's a defensive-minded coach. They're going to rebound the ball. A little bit interesting fact, though, about Izzo last year when they had Valentine, those guys, man, they got up and down the floor. I was really surprised. However, I still think this is just a little bit too much for the first game of the year. We got the Armed Forces Classic here. It's in Hawaii. Arizona's got a couple good returners like Alonzo Trier. He's going to be a stud this year. He's a sophomore for Arizona. It's just going to be an interesting matchup, I think, of 2 really good coaches. But at the end of the day, I just don't see him putting up that many points, especially with how well these coaches coach defense. Now, they could shoot lights out, but still, again, being on a neutral floor, I think the defenses are going to step up. At least in this matchup, I don't see a really high tempo, even though we got some 2 talented teams here. Look for the defenses to step up and stay under the 141 with Michigan State and Arizona. That's going to be a great way to start the season. All right, we got next on the board, I'm going to look at Indiana and Kansas, another really good matchup. Tom Crean for Indiana, man, talk about a guy who loves to go pace. That they get up and down the floor. Now, Bill Self for Kansas, he has no problem with that. They're loaded, by the way. Well, of course, they're Kansas. They're going to be really, really loaded. Let's look at the total here. We got 148. Again, this is the Armed Forces Classic. They'll be playing after that Michigan State-Arizona game. I'm going to go over the 148 for this one. It seems pretty high. But Kansas has they have a decent core back. They have Frank Mason, Devontae Graham back. They combined for about 24 points per game last year. Indiana, James Blackman is probably I would say the headlighting guy back for Indiana. He can flat out shoot the 3. They lost Yogi Ferrell. That's a big deal because, he ran the point. He was excellent. What a really good basketball player. But still, Indy has some nice pieces back. Thomas Bryant's back after injury. He was scoring at a pretty decent rate. Again, though, I think this is going to be about the pace for this with Indiana because, man, Tom Crean really loves to get up and down. I don't think Bill Self's not going to have a problem with that. They both have horses. So does Arizona and Michigan State. But 148, I think it's going to be a fast-paced game. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to back over that 148. Next one up we got is Georgia and Clemson. Interesting matchup. Now, last season, Georgia beat Clemson in Georgia 71-48. Oddsmakers have the total here at 134. Now, Clemson, traditionally, over the last several seasons, they are just a bogged-down, defensive-minded first team, and I think that's what we're going to see here. Now, Blossom game is back for Clemson. He's one of the best players in the ACC. But this is a good defense. Last year, especially, they're at home now, and they play really tough at home, even though they're in a new place. But when they play, at their home court, like last year they held Duke to 63 points. And I don't think they have a ton of scoring. They got some good starters back. So does Georgia. They have 3 starters back, headlined by Yante Mateen. I don't know a ton about him, but looking at his statistics, he's solid. Very good basketball player. But I like Brad Brownell for Clemson. He's a good coach, good defensive coach. I think Clemson's going to go ahead and control the tempo of this game. So I'm going to back under that 134 when Georgia comes down. Also a little revenge factor there for Clemson. Okay, next one we got on the board. One of my favorite smaller teams here. We got Stephen F. Austin taking on Kentucky. Now, Kentucky, this is kind of a line play for me. This game's really interesting as far as the line. I mean, Kentucky's been killing people in their preseason games, not against much competition. They put up 156 against Asbury, which was ridiculous. They were up by like 100 points. And oddsmakers came out with this at 143. I'm going to go and back that 143, and here's the reason why. Now, Kentucky, we know that super freshmen, as always, like headline of this year, Malik Monk, but John Calipari is an underrated defensive coach. Kentucky, the reason why they're so successful is they play defense. They get after you really hard on the defensive end. I think Stephen F. Austin is going to have a lot of trouble scoring tonight. The Jackrabbits, they're going to be decent, as they always seem to kind of shock some teams towards the end of the year, even in the tournament. But they just picked up Kyle Keller as their new coach he's from Texas A&M, really good recruiter. But Texas A&M was a really defensive-minded team. Now I think because he's a good recruiter, they're going to get some talent as the year. As the years go on, at a pretty decent mid-major, if you want to call them a mid-major, they're pretty small. Brad Underwood went to Oklahoma State from Stephen F. Austin because of their success. But Keller, coming from Texas A&M, I think that puts more of a defensive field. He's going to know this Kentucky team also, or at least how Calipari runs his sets decently well, considering, they faced off against Kentucky last year. So I look for this game to stay under that 143, although a lot of people might want to jump on the over on that one. All right, last game up we got is Vanderbilt and Marquette. And I've seen some reviews of this game and previews of this game as a really low total, but oddsmakers came out with a 147.5, and I'm going to go over the total. Now, Steve Wojciechowski, former Duke point guard, he's the head coach of Marquette. He has a winning record there, but in league play, he has not done very much. But they got a lot of guys back this year. They are absolutely loaded. They have 6 of their top 7 scorers back. And I think the way, if he's running anything similar to, Marquette is actually different from when Buzz Williams was there. Now he's at Virginia Tech, but Marquette, they go a little bit quicker tempo. And if we look at their games last year, pretty fast tempo for the most part. And now they're facing off against Vanderbilt, who just picked up Bryce Drew from Valparaiso. Now, Bryce Drew, he played in the NBA and stuff. You look at Valparaiso's scores last year. That's a team that likes to get up pace. I think he's going to bring that over to Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt, not a ton coming back. I think they have an underrated player here. I wrote this down after doing my research. Nolan Kressler. He was at Cornell a while ago. Didn't play very well last year. But at the end of the day, this is about the coaches for me. I think Wojciechowski and Bryce Drew are both fast-paced coaches. So I think we're to get over that 147.5. And also Marquette, they're loaded. I think they're going to be underrated at the beginning of the season, but this team, I think they're going to be able to score. So that's what I got. So a quick breakdown again of these games. Let's take a look. We got Michigan State, Arizona under the 141, Indiana, Kansas over the 148. Those are the Armed Forces Classic games. Georgia, Clemson. I think that's going to be a bogged down affair under the 134. Stephen F. Austin, Kentucky, under the 143 in what will be a surprisingly defensive affair. And don't be surprised if Jackrabbits give Kentucky a little bit of trouble. Just a little bit. Kentucky's going to be great. We all know that. They always are. And finally, Vanderbilt and Marquette over the 147.5, which I think is going to be a really fast-paced affair. All right, those are my first college totals of the year. There's 5 on the board. It's going to be an awesome season. So check out all the odds at SBR, and I wish you luck on your picks today.